Hello and welcome to CIO News. I am Khushbu Soni, founder and chief editor at CIO News. This is our exclusive interview and it is going to be available on our website, that is cionews.co.in, and our CIO News LinkedIn as well as YouTube channel. It is my honor and privilege to have our guest for today. We have Mr. Yashasvi Yadav, an IPS and Special Inspector General of Police from Maharashtra Cyber Department. So thank you so much for agreeing to do this with us.
My privilege and honor.
Maharashtra Cyber Department is a nodal agency which works on cyber crimes for the state of the department. So first of all the great work that you've been doing. Congratulations for that, and thank you so much for doing all that you've been doing. So
thank you.
So the cost of cyber crime is incredibly high. It is likely even greater than what the data suggests, since there's a lot of cyber crime which goes unreported. And in fact, if we go back a few years, and if we think about the cyber criminals, and the impression that we had was usually the Hollywood and Bollywood style, where cyber criminals are sitting behind a table in a hoodie, tapping at the screen and hacking into the systems. And we had a very glamorized view. But let's all be very honest that it is now a very, very sophisticated organization which is making hundreds and millions of dollars and are competing with large multinational organizations. It might be affecting one person, but parallelly it might be affecting lakhs of people by just clicking at the button. So we would want to understand from you, how do you foresee the future of cybersecurity for the state of Maharashtra?
See, first of all, we must recognize that the revenues and damages owing to cybercrime have crossed globally $6 trillion, which is a humongous sum, which is more than the GDP, 2.5 times the GDP of India. So it has become the numero uno, or the #1 cyber organized crime network in the world. It has easily surpassed narco trafficking, counterfeiting, the other so-called publicized organized crime networks, in which many flicks in Netflix or any other platforms are also made. But cybercrime has become more than twice in size and also in pervasiveness. So this is the most important thing I want to tell. However, the irony is that the awareness about cybercrime is abysmally low. And secondly, in India, if we talk about Indian perspective, there are about 700 million or 70 crore smartphones in India, amongst the highest in the world. Because of this, as well as new technologies like ChatGPT, like Internet of Things, like Darknet, the Onion router, these are becoming more and more common and widespread, due to which the question of cybersecurity assumes great importance. And it must be realized by the policymakers as well as law enforcement agencies by us, that by one click of a mouse, a person's lifelong hard-earned savings can disappear, which is a big trauma for that person. For example, by use of sextortion, blackmailing, threats can be issued, due to which many youngsters are even committing suicide. So these are some very, very poignant and important issues staring us in the face, and hence our cybersecurity apparatus should be bolstered and made more robust.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so what initiatives is Maharashtra Cybercrime Department is taking to make Maharashtra more digitally secured?
So as I already said, that cybercrime is no longer a lone computer savant in a hoodie trying to hack into systems. It is a well-oiled, well-run, organized crime syndicate, and which is well-funded. In fact, there are several national actors also. For example, the Lazarus Group of North Korea, or example, various APT groups based in China and Pakistan. So these are certain groups which are only Their only occupation is to hack into systems, find out computer vulnerabilities, the zero-day vulnerabilities as we call them, and then exploit them for commercial gain, as well as now they are also attacks on critical infrastructure of a nation, which impacts the national security. So now when we talk about that, what initiatives we are taking. So there are two types of initiatives that Maharashtra Cyber Department, which is the nodal agency to deal with cybercrime in the state of Maharashtra, is that first is to generate awareness amongst the public, because India has digitalized very rapidly, but we have not made our people educated. We have not created the awareness mechanisms and platforms which should have concomitantly come along with the digitization. So we are still having people who hardly know how to use smartphones, yet handling online savings and accounts. So it is very important. So we are trying to spread awareness by use of advisories, documentaries, animation movies, or even recently we organized a conference or a workshop of 5,000 school children along with heads of Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, and our law enforcement agencies, which created a lot of awareness in the impressionable minds of the children. So this is one very important objective of this agency. Second is to streamline our operations to catch and detect the cyber crimes which happen, in which we did a landmark case of Top TV, which was selling online content from various OTT platforms like Hotstar, Netflix, Soni Live, etc., at throwaway prices. So it was a case of digital piracy. So we not only arrested the CEO of that company, but we also created a more robust platform to check online piracy. Similarly, the cases of sextortion, social engineering of children, ransomware cases, or even cases relating to online frauds of senior citizens. Recently, we did a case in which instant loan apps by Chinese companies which exploit the people. It's a very interesting modus operandi in which a person in dire need of money, say 10,000, 20,000, applies to these agencies, no questions asked, they are immediately sanctioned loan, but in turn in the app they have to give permissions to share all their data with the perpetrators of these agencies, due to which they are then made vulnerable to blackmail, extortion, and sometimes they even commit suicide, the gullible victims. So this is becoming, I can say, a Frankenstein's monster which needs to be tamed by effective law enforcement action.
Absolutely, and very rightly said. I think with all the awareness that it now requires is tremendous. So what cyber threats that, like you mentioned a couple of them, right? One is for the organizations and one for the citizens. So maybe we can cover on both of them. So for the organizations, what recommendations do you have for the cybersecurity leaders on what processes and tools should they deploy to ensure that their organizations are digitally secured?
Before that, I would like to dwell more upon what kind of threats the organizations face.
Yes.
See, the data is called the new oil in this century because data is expensive. Recently, we did a case in which some cyber criminal stole the data of Domino's Pizza. So some ignoramus people were telling me, what's the point? It's only Domino's Pizza data. What a criminal can do with that? Let him take it. But it's not so simple. There is a web within a web, So Domino's Pizza data meant name, address, phone numbers, bank accounts, credit card numbers of thousands or even lakhs of customers. This data, when sold on darknet, is lapped up by cyber criminals from Jamtara or Mewat, where the pockets of cybercrime are there, and then they are subjected to online frauds in various modus operandi. So this is not so simple. every data has its value for a cyber criminal, number one. Number two, I would like to say that apart from that, the critical infrastructure of a country is also under threat. About 2 years back, we did an inquiry on electricity outage in Mumbai. For 4 hours, electricity went off in Mumbai during height of COVID.
Yes.
Even ventilators stopped working, local trains came to a grinding halt. When we did the inquiry, we found that the Maharashtra or the electricity company of in Mumbai, operating in Mumbai, their servers were infected by a variety of malevolent programs, including 14 Trojan horses, which belong to the same family of malware which were found in Ukraine electricity outage crisis in 2015 and 2018. So, this was at the peak of Galwan skirmish that India and China were facing. And we found out, when we found the IP addresses of the so-called intruders into the Maharashtra servers, which were incidentally the SCADA servers, which are considered the most secure. Right. However, we found that a lot of IP addresses were belonging to China, Hong Kong, and such places where such perpetrators were likely to be in. So, this was covered by various international media houses like New York Times, Washington Post, etc. So, this becomes a question of national security, not just mere cybercrime. Similarly, other critical infrastructure areas like dams, water purification plants, like railway signaling systems are already under threat. Even drone attacks, computer controlled drone attacks are already under threats, which make the national security very, very vulnerable. Now, coming to that question with this perspective, that what kind of precautions? See, I can tell you that this perspective is very similar to house trespassing in real life. If you keep your doors open, if you don't apply any locks, no perimeter security, no alarms, nothing, then and you leave the house just like this, then chances of it getting burgled are very high. Similarly, in cyber security, if you don't apply any precautions, you keep the systems open, no firewalls, no antivirus systems, no SOPs for cyber hygienic behavior, then the vulnerability of these systems to cyber attacks is very high, and it is very easy for such cyber criminals to do that. But however, what I suggest to all organizations, only one recommendation. If they follow that recommendation, 99% of such attacks can be thwarted. That is only one, and it's a golden rule. Every 6 months, get your entire information system or computer system subjected to cyber audit from an accredited agency. So, cyber audit will cover everything, whether your firewall is properly configured, whether it is updated, whether antivirus systems are updated, whether pirated softwares are being downloaded, whether unauthorized access is happening, whether on a need to know basis all this thing is happening or not. So, cyber audit is absolutely essential for all big organizations. I would go to the extent of saying if Maharashtra had done regular cyber audits, electricity outage in Mumbai may not have taken place. So, what I suggest, a cyber audit, if any organization is not able to find out from where to do cyber audit, you contact us. Maharashtra Cyber Department will contract out and do a cyber audit of that agency, and I think that will thwart 99.9% of such hacking attempts.
Absolutely, I think great advice. So my next question is for the citizens. What recommendations that you would give to the citizens on how they should be more aware, how they should be more cautious of these malware attacks and these Jantara kind of attacks that we keep seeing happening?
See, I can say only one thing, that for citizens, technology is like a Frankenstein's monster. So, you should use technology only when you understand it well and when you make yourself aware. So, please visit our social media platforms like Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, etc., where we have posted lot of advisories, lot of recommendations. But for starters, I can point out few things for the citizens. Number one is that never give your phone to anybody. Physical possession of phone, in 20 seconds it can be hacked. And not only your conversations, your pictures, your files, documentaries, documents, anything you have stored there will be accessible to the cyber criminal. If you give your phone even to me, in less than 20 seconds, I can make it subservient to me. That means all the data, microphone access, camera access can be obtained by any cyber criminal, and it can be demonstrated in our office. To go further, I would like to take help of a case study. Few years back in Mumbai, a lady journalist, well-educated lady journalist, was living in a typical Mumbai studio apartment. And she had that habit of just chatting online to so-called strangers. So, while chatting to one of the so-called strangers who happened to be a cyber criminal, whom we later traced and arrested also, managed to befriend her. And in the garb of sending some pictures, he sent also a virus, a malware, which was called video keylogger virus. So, whatever she typed on the computer, a copy was made in her own system, and whenever that system was connected to internet, it was emailed to the criminal. Not only that, video keylogger virus also switched on her webcam. So, all the image in one studio apartment were being transmitted online through her own system to that cyber criminal. So, after 2-3 months of such chatting, this criminal started blackmailing her, saying that I have intimate pictures of yours, I have all your bank accounts, I have all your secrets, the so-called skeletons in the cupboard, and she was subjected to immense mental trauma. Fortunately, she even confessed that she was contemplating suicide. Fortunately, in the nick of time, she approached us, and through reverse engineering, we could trace and nip the problem in the bud by arresting such criminal. So, I can only say that keep your passwords robust. I can give you one example. Any dictionary word as password can be hacked in less than 1 second. But if you add just one number to it, then it takes 3 hours to hack it. And if you add one special character to it, then it takes 3 years to hack. And if you add 2 numbers and 2 special characters to it, then it takes 300 years to hack. So, this is the kind of strength of robust passwords. Second, don't click on suspicious links, don't download pirated software, movies, etc. Thirdly, in the cyber world, your worst enemies are your best friends. So, don't share your passwords, etc. Thirdly, if any bank, if any person claiming to be a bank employee subjects you to spear phishing or phishing attack, meaning that they claim to be from an authorized organization, but actually they are cyber criminals, ask you for your passwords, pins, etc., immediately report that on National Cybercrime Reporting Portal, NCCRP portal, so that the complaint comes to us, you while sitting in your home. Because no bank ever asks for passwords, pins on telephone call. So, these are few precautionary steps. Secondly, I have already advised, please visit our social media platforms of Maharashtra Cyber Department. Most of the new cyber crimes, for example, the latest cyber crime we encountered is the eSIM swap cyber crime, in which a new eSIM is delivered to the cyber criminal without the victim even knowing about it. And then all OTPs and all come to the eSIM. Secondly, the latest is virtual kidnapping, in which a sort of a kidnapping atmosphere is created and ransom is demanded. Third latest crime is that Chinese apps based instant loan cybercrime. So all this modus operandi is given in very detailed, beautiful, animated manner in our social media platforms, and once the netizens go there, I'm sure they'll become aware, and in this cyber information superhighway, awareness is power.
Fantastic. I think great conversation. So thank you so much for sharing all these perspectives and creating an awareness, creating a platform where people can learn of the new cyber crimes that are happening. We will tag all of these links below this interview. So please, go to their websites, go to the Twitter handle, the Facebook handle, and learn as much as you can. So any piece of advice, last advice that you would like to give, or few areas that you're working in 2023 for the same?
I can only say one important topic we missed in the interview. I would like to highlight that as well. The worst fear of national security advisors or national security people is cybercrime being transformed into cyber terrorism, which is a very big thing. So we had anticipated drone attacks, now they are a reality. Similarly, cyber terrorism may hit us in a big way in the next few years. So we have to be very careful, and all netizens have to become the cyber cops to prevent nations falling to this cyber terrorism. Just imagine the scenario if the railway signaling systems are hacked, then two trains may be made to collide. No need of bombs and bullets, only bits and bytes are enough. Just imagine the scenario where millions or billions of dollars are taken away from banks. Recently it happened with Bangladesh National Bank about 4 years back, where about 100 crore rupees were transferred to Philippines by hackers. Imagine the scenario if water sanitation plants, the amount of chlorine is increased by 0.5%. It renders it into poison, and thousands of people may die without even a so-called Fidain squad or bombs or AK-47s. So this is a very terrifying and chilling scenarios which we have to thwart, and we have to act as strong bulwark against such scenarios. Secondly, last piece of advice, like when we go out on the road driving in our car, we are making ourselves vulnerable to accidents. One can also die and not come back home. We all know this fear, yet we don't stop venturing out. What we do is follow all the precautions, like wearing a seat belt or a helmet, driving within speed limits. Same is the case in cyber highway. Just because it is fraught with dangers or cyber criminals lurking, it doesn't mean that we stop using the net. It only means that we have to follow all precautions, like cyber security audit, like being aware of the new forms of cyber crimes, like observing all the precautions which we have mentioned in this interview. Thank you very much. Jai Hind.
Jai Hind. Thank you so much, sir.